just wanted to talk a little bit about the disposition of the house that we purchased, and David might want to hear this. Right now, in our budget, we have, I was talking to Hal, we have $40,000 in our budget for demolition, and that would be enough money to cover.
That demolishes the house, the attached outbuildings and behind it, basically. That's a demolition, that's not a relocation.
Which house?
The one that sits on the colonial yellow house.
Last I knew, there was going to be some evaluation of the nature of the structure. I haven't heard anything since. Has anybody?
Well, I thought you were in charge of that.
No, I thought, I think if you check, you'll find that the discussion was had that it needs to be evaluated, and Willie was going to make arrangements to get those who might do it in.
All right, I'll ask Willie to try and move on that, because that's where I was going with this next, is that that's what we have in our budget right now, is money for demolishing the building. Any other talk of moving the building, locating it anywhere else, I think has to be sort of pushed over to the town side, because it's not only the cost to move the building and put it somewhere else, but it's also the cost of maintaining the building for the next zillion years.
Depends on what's done with the building.
And I don't think Jack wants to put that into his Board of Education budget. I don't want to speak for him, but somebody has to decide how that building would be maintained. So anyway, there has to be work done on it. Right now, there's money in our budget to demolish it, and that building has to be moved from where it is by about a year from now in January. So,
And when's it being vacated?
I think he has until the summertime, August.
We said August.
August, September, something like that.
We said August.
Okay, so, yes, I agree, somebody has to take a look at it, find out if there's any historical value to that building.
I suspect
But-
more than you want to recognize.
But if there is, then somebody has to figure out who's gonna pay.
Comes with serious responsibilities. So let's make an effort to get evaluations done.
I talked with Matt Kennedy at ECS, he's moving forward with his soils management plan, and he expects that to take 2 to 4 months. So hopefully, when is our next cost estimate due, Tom?
We want to say May. I believe May, the cost estimate would be June sometime, early mid-June.
Okay, so that should give him enough time to complete
That
that,
would
and
get,
you
that
guys
would
will be
get
able
that in
to.
our hands before the BD estimate. And quite frankly, you know, the sooner you could get it, the better, because we do have that allowance in there now that could be modified, you know, if it's a positive report, you know, that would be some additional funds that could be freed up.
Okay, and I wanted to ask a question about schedule, but that will also, that can come later, find out, just making sure we're still on schedule. The next question was, I wanted to have Jack talk a little bit about the meeting that we had at the SF in the state of Washington.
Yes, Joe and Jerry and Bill and Brooks and I all went to meet with Paige Farnham, who is the current acting BSF director, and Don DeFranzo, who is the acting construction person for the whole state, to talk about the process of evaluating the current Morgan School in terms of a cost estimate for looking at the comparison between renovated as new and new construction, because the legislation changed in 2011 relative to the differential between new and renovated as new. So currently we are on in the process of looking at a 37% reimbursement rate for new versus 47% for renovated as new. And the question that continues to be at hand is, what is it that we need to be able to prove? Because there's language in the legislation that suggests that if you can demonstrate that new is more cost effective than renovated as new, then you would be eligible for a 47% reimbursement rate. So the cold hard part of it is that the Bureau of School Facilities and the larger umbrella group, the construction group up there, have not specifically developed a set of protocols for what would be entailed in doing that exercise to do that. Although there are currently 9 criteria that they use in reverse, when it was in reverse, that they basically have said that, that's essentially what you're still gonna have to prove, that to demonstrate using the criteria that currently exist. But that we are meeting, because we're the first ones apparently to be probing this with the state, prompted Don DeFranzo to direct Paige Farnham and her crew to develop a litmus for how that would be done, or a set of criteria. So the news that we did get from that process was that ultimately it seemed reasonable for us to continue to pursue this as a process to make that determination. I think Bill and Brooks had a pretty good idea, the core essentials of what was gonna need to be done, and then we'll continue to work with Paige to refine anything that comes down the pike. But the idea is that we will probably want to do 2 things. One is to do the exercise and walk through it with BCF, because that would be the first line of decision-making, is that they would have the authority to make that determination right there. And if we could in fact make that case, that would be the easiest and most efficient way to move that forward. The second piece or the second option for us, and so based on the conversation, it sounds like we're probably gonna attack it from both options, is to work with our legislators about adding to the notwithstanding legislative language that would allow us to be able to, or that would take it to the legislature to allow us to make that case. And the difference at that point becomes some of the additional information that would be relevant to the legislature relative to long-term investment in the community. So the ability for that particular property to be turned into commercial property would have some impact from a legislative decision-making that certainly would weigh in our favor for it to make more sense for them to reimburse at a higher rate. So I think that we walked away from that meeting with the idea that we wanted to move forward with, or that the recommendation certainly is to move forward with the exercise of evaluating the current facility as a renovate as new. One of the caveats that was very clear in the discussion was that it is a comparison between renovating as new the 165,000 square feet of the existing building compared to the projected cost of our facility that we've been discussing at length over the last few meetings. So that's I think those are the elements that we're working with work in our favor largely.
Sounds good.
It was a very positive meeting. Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you, Jack.